Hi, sweet sugar pea. I'm so happy that you're here.
Hi, Laura. I'm so happy to be here.
I before we jump into any episode, I always ask my guests, this is the Healing to Happy podcast. And before we even jump down, I was saying how we like to keep things like real and honest. And so
Mhm.
the question I always start with is, what are you currently healing your way to happy on?
Hmm. I am currently healing my way to happy on being more comfortable with my authentic self and being okay with showing others who my authentic self is.
Mm, I feel like that is such a big one that keeps coming up lately. And we'll probably dive into it
Mhm.
even more on this because, especially when you have a brand, right? It's like you have this forward facing thing and you have this personality here and you have this life here, and then you have this human, and you're like, how the heck do I blend all these things? And I feel like that's so relatable to this audience and
Mhm.
everything. So I'm so excited to dive a little bit more into that. But before we get into it, because I sometimes forget to ask, can you introduce yourself to our people and reintroduce yourself to your people?
Yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Meaghan Moran. I am a holistic health coach and a personal trainer. And my passion is to help women heal their mind, body, and soul. And for one time in my life, I felt really trapped inside my own body. And, I just had this sense, this just greater feeling inside of me that I knew that I could feel more. And I knew that, I craved to feel these emotions that I just felt so very deep inside myself. So, my journey is helping other women, who might feel disconnected from their authentic self, find themselves again.
Mm. And isn't that such a good mission? I'm so excited for this. And
Mm,
I want to talk
yeah.
about that. Like that initial feeling of, and I feel like my audience can really get this because I have felt this where it's like, and I've probably mentioned it in this way. I can't remember if I've done it on the podcast or wherever, where it's
Mhm.
like there's this version of you inside your head that plays out. And then there's this
Yeah.
version of you that's like out here. And when they don't match, it's so frustrating. And you're like, what is going on here? And I don't have the confidence and I don't have, the knowledge of how I have my blockers, I have my trauma, I have my things, I have all that kind of stuff. And so when you walked through that, or when you're walking your clients through that, when someone's struggling to bring that back end forward, what's that process like? Or what was your process like?
Yeah. So, similar to you, my process first started when I went through a really bad breakup. I had a divorce.
Mm.
And, at that time, I was really confused. And, you have these thoughts of like, what's wrong with me? What did I do wrong? And through my whole journey, I really had to learn how to love myself more and to know that, whatever might have happened in my life, I could always come back to myself, and feeling that love within myself has helped me help others feel the love within themselves. So one thing that I love to teach my clients is more about self-love and how to really cultivate a deeper sense of self-love with yourself. So I like to focus on 4 pillars. First pillar is emotional awareness. Second is body liberation. Third is sense of purpose. And fourth is self-worth. And I could go a little bit deeper into those if you'd
Yeah,
like.
let's break them down. Let's start with emotional
Cool.
awareness.
Cool. Okay, so emotional awareness. So, how in touch are you with your own emotions? Are you listening and paying attention to how you feel on a daily basis, right? Because our emotions are our internal guidance system. They can tell us and teach us things before our mind can even register something. So, really great example of this is, let's say you're in a relationship and your partner is, constantly making you feel disempowered or uncomfortable, or maybe you feel lonely. and you're ignoring those emotions that come up when you're with them, what will wind up happening? You'll wind up maybe staying in that unfulfilling relationship, becoming more unhappy with your partner, with yourself. So ignoring those emotions is not a self-loving act. So listening to your emotions at first could be confusing. And my advice on this is to allow yourself at the end of the day just to journal it out, how you're feeling, what you're going through, writing everything down on paper. And then you can reflect back on those journal entries about your emotions every week or every month, or whenever you want to do a check-in, and just notice similar patterns or feelings that keep coming up. And from there, you could start to take action to get yourself to a place where you feel more emotionally fulfilled.
I love that, because that is something that, especially as high achievers, which is a lot of my audience, emotions, we're told we're not allowed to have them. It's like they're
Mm-hmm.
not allowed in this journey of growth, because one, the most feminine thing about you is that you are a multifaceted, very emotional human being. Like, that is the most beautiful thing, but we've been trained to be seen but not heard, right? Because
Yes.
it is a big old world out there where a lot of people can't handle. It's that I call it the feminine pain body, where it's like, if you're reacting from triggers and you're doing these things, it's very different than if you are just aware of your emotion, right? Of, I'm feeling
Yeah.
sad, I'm feeling anxious, I'm feeling neglected, I'm feeling disappointed, I'm feeling fearful. Like, these are just things that you're feeling. It doesn't necessarily mean anything. But when we haven't actually done the
Yeah.
work to identify what it is, we're like stuffing it down. And then we end up exploding, which is why we're afraid of our emotions, because we've been stuffing it down for
Yeah.
so fucking long that then you blow up like a goddamn, what are they called? Volcano. And then you hurt someone.
Yeah.
That's why you're afraid of your emotion. But if you do practices like the journaling and the checking in and checking your body and just being like, what the heck am I feeling right now? It really
Yeah.
become this thing where it's like, it's no longer this like foreign thing that is blowing up on people. And therefore that's why you're afraid of it. It's this, like, it's just a thing. Like, it's not an identity, it's just an emotion, and that passes through. So I freaking love that, because it is something where it's like, if you just write it down, end of the day, like, what did I do, how did I feel, like, you start to actually move from just going day to day to day to day to actually checking in and being like,
Mm-hmm.
is this okay, like, am I, like, what am I feeling, how am I doing, and then you can learn to play with
Yeah.
that. I love that idea.
Yeah, yeah. And then just to piggyback off what you said, it's, as we're growing up, we're told that by society, some emotions are quote unquote bad emotions, or bad to feel. And I think that's so wrong, because it's a gift that we're able to feel the bad emotions. It's a gift that we're able to feel the good ones. They're all here to help us and to teach us and to guide us.
Exactly. It's all just,
Yeah.
it's just a thing. Like, you don't yell at a kid for crying until they get to like
Yeah.
there. But like, if they're a baby, you're like,
Mm.
something's just, you're feeling something and this is how you express it. Like, then all of a sudden we're like adults and it's like, stop crying. And you're like, I
Yeah.
was cute like 34 seconds ago. And now all of a sudden you're
Yeah.
annoying. Yeah. Like, and we build up these blockers and we do all these things. And so it really is this thing. Can you give yourself permission for your emotions? Can you give yourself the space to even check in with yourself? And that doesn't necessarily mean getting wrapped up in them. I think a lot of times when at least I know when I like talk to clients, it's like, well, aren't I going to be like crying all day or pissed all day or like going through this work and like feeling a lot all day? And it's like, no, you give yourself this like little worry window where you get to feel it right
Mhm.
there. Like you said, at the end of the day, you get to check in right there. Like, how did you feel throughout the day? When I was in nutrition, I would say like at every meal, check in. Like, sometimes we're just going
Mhm.
so fast. So if you can use your meals, because you have 3 to 4 to 5 of them a day, can you just check in at those meals? Like, what am I doing? Like, give yourself these little moments of like, how am I feeling? But like, no, you're not going to spend the whole day crying on your couch. And if you do, God bless your cotton socks. That's totally fine. Like that's
Yeah.
life for a little chunk of time, but like, you're not going to live there. Your emotions are actually your inner compass, but as long as you're not stuffing them down, they have no control over what's happening. But if you want to move forward, you gotta release them.
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
love that. So talk to me about, what was the
Right.
next one? The body awareness.
Uh, Body liberation.
Body
Yeah.
liberation. I love
So body liberation. Yes. I like to use the word body liberation rather than body positivity, because I think it's natural, especially for women, to not be positive about your body at all times of every moment of every day. So body liberation is more about how free do you feel in your body. And, it's not even about having confidence. It's about how accepting are you of your body, of your capabilities. How good can you feel in your body? How much do you allow your body just to be in its natural state, no matter its, fluctuations either, because we all fluctuate, especially as women. So feeling empowered enough in your body to do what feels the best for it. And, not what you think you should do, not what other people tell you to do, but what truly feels best to you. And a really good example of this is exercise. There's so much information about exercise out there. You should be doing this, you should be doing that. And while, weight training 5 times a week could be really great for you, that might not feel the best for me. So, it's really about knowing what is best for your body. And the same goes for food, right? We all have bio-individual needs. You have to figure out what works best for your body, what makes you feel the best, because people could give you recommendations of what they might think feel the best for you, but only you can know what feels best for it.
So talk to me like someone's going through a breakup, someone's going through a rupture, someone's busy as all heck. And this piece is the one that I see a lot of my clients get stuck on. So I really want to dive into it because it's like, oh, I don't feel fit enough to date. I don't feel good enough to like have sex. Like I don't like the angle and the which way that I look at like these types of things. And I love the way that you say, because it's a thing that I'm like, you're not going to like yourself all the time. Like, but can you have respect for yourself no matter at what size? Like you have to accept where you're at. You have to be like, this is where you're at. Hating yourself into whatever isn't going to work. So let's talk to those people, because I can remember that, I struggled with an eating disorder for 15 years of my life. So in that moment where it's like, you're kind of helpless, and not even like the word helpless. I wouldn't say my audience identifies with that word. Sorry, y'all. But you just kind of feel stuck where you're just like, I'm not motivated to, I know I'm supposed to be doing this, because we all know, which kind of makes it shittier, because it's like, I know I should be, but I'm not, which makes it kind of harder. But then my schedule's so busy and I have the kids and forget about getting naked. Like what are some tools? What are some mindset things? What are some like tangible things that they can start doing just by listening to this podcast to get them a step closer to this body liberation?
Yeah. So I always say the first thing to feel more connected with your body and what it wants is just to close your eyes. You don't even have to get into a deep meditative state. Just close your eyes and feel your body. Like where are you feeling something? And you could start by tapping into where you're feeling. So let's say you're feeling maybe heaviness in your heart or heaviness in your stomach. You just start by tapping it. And that's something that I teach my clients to do, just tap, tap. And it could just, be a gentle tap and just speak to it. You could speak to that part that might feel tight or you might feel a lot of pressure or tension, whatever it is, and just speak to it. Like, how can I help you to move this energy from this area right now? And it could be something so little as getting up and taking a walk around the block, or maybe you want to just breathe through it. Or, maybe you want to dance it out. Like just having this conversation with your body, having this connection with your body is going to help you move through that energy, because I find a lot of this energy that we feel stuck energy, it really just wants to be expressed and to come out. Right. So, it could be something as maybe screaming into a pillow. And if that feels really good for you at that moment, it's going to help your body move through that energy and help you going. So, a lot of people feel from exercise that they get this, rush. They feel good in their body. That works too. But say the first step is just tapping into the feeling in your body, whatever feels heavier in your body at that moment, and then working from there.
Girl, you're speaking my language. My audience knows my biggest thing. I'm like, sacred rage, get the fuck in your car, put some emo music on from the early 2000s and scream. Like, get it out of your body, let yourself feel the things that you've been repressing for so long, because you're zoning in on the wrong thing. Like I was just listening to a Michael Singer talk or whatever, and he's talking about like when you feel stuck or when you're feeling depressed or when you're feeling these things, it's because you're like looking at a notch in the wall, and it's not about, expanding your vision. It's literally just about stop looking at the knot in the wall. Stop looking at the fact that you're not working out. Stop looking at that thing and then look at a different option, and you're zoning in on these parts of yourself that you're not liking. It's like, just stop looking at it. Just stop doing these things. It really is this piece. And I'm curious to know, like, someone that is struggling, like, how have you seen with your clients, yourself, when you start to heal this relationship with your body? I don't know if you've noticed this, but how all of your relationships change, because that voice in your head is such a fucking dick. Like, I call it the little gremlin inside. Like, it's so mean to you. And so therefore, if you're being mean to yourself and you're trying to give love, there's actually this like block to feeling love, and you can't receive love and you can't give it because you're actually so mean to yourself. So although you're trying to be nice to someone else, there's this like block. And so you're actually kind of mean to them, and you're critiquing them, and you're putting these judgments on them. And it's like this red flag radar, and how they're not good enough and how they're not there, but you want love so badly. But I've seen, at least with my clients, one of the biggest things is because of this body block that they have.
Yeah. Sorry, what was the question?
You're good. No, it was just
I
kind
got
of a
so
conversation. It's just a conversation
Okay.
where it's like, how have you seen this happen with people that are in there, stuck with their bodies, and how it's related back in their relationships?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It definitely plays back into your relationship in the fact that if you can't give to yourself first, if you can't fill up your cup first, then you're not going to be able to help others or to do great at your job or to, fulfill your relationships. Connecting with your body and understanding, I need to do this for me right now because this is going to help me. It's not only going to help yourself and help your body in that moment, but moving forward, you're going to feel like you're able to move forward with more grace and understanding, and like, okay, I can get through this now because I've helped myself here. So now what am I going to do next?
Exactly. And it's just, it's noticing that voice, it's noticing that peace within. And it really is, like you said, a liberation. I love that. And it is, like, anyone that is struggling with, even doing the thing, it's just witnessing the thought, it's witnessing whose voice is in there. It's like, you're not gonna, and it changes in season. Like, I know, usually I've been an athlete my whole life. It's like, usually old me was like, let me go burn off my depression in the gym. Let me go outwork my anxiety. Let me go do these things. But when I went through a recent breakup, all I wanted was walking and yoga. It was like, I just want to be slow. Like, I actually don't want to hustle my way out of this. And then all of a sudden, like, a month goes by and I'm like, yeah, fuck that. We're back. Like, let's go to spin class. Let's go lift some heavy shit. Like, let's go. Like, we're back. We don't need to be gentle. It really is, again, going back to number one, where it's like understanding your emotions, but also understanding your body. Like, it's going to change just because you're in a certain season, and it might be that you need to go, challenge yourself to go run a marathon because that's how you want to heal your heart. But for once, like, I wanted to really slow down. Like, I really wanted to be my feminine, and I wanted to be soft. I was like, I didn't have like the most mothering figure. So like, what would I need right now from a mother? I need to slow, I need to cocoon, I need to be soft. And it was literally like, I'm going to eat ice cream with a fork in my underpants, and I'm going to go to yoga, and I'm going to go on a walk. Like, this is what I need. I know maybe eventually I'll get back to doing the CrossFit-y kind of things that I love to do, or this is the new me and that's what I want to be. Like, it's not clinging to what was. When things in your life shift so much, like, your body is going to want different things. And I think that is what liberation is. It's like, you're going with the flow of what is.
Yes. Yeah. Giving yourself permission to do what feels right in that moment without all that outside pressure, even of your own mind or society pressure.
Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, it is actual liberation. It's like, I'm not going to like it all the time. I'm not going to be in love with it. I think it's toxic positivity when that's it, because you're also just kind of waiting on the sidelines of your life. And I see this with dating, where it's like, well, I'm going to date when I lose these extra 5 pounds, when I lose my pandemic weight, when I lose whatever. And it's like, who told you at this size you weren't lovable? right? Because you
Yeah.
don't fall in love with the body, you fall in love with the person. Like the body is going to change. You're going to be old and saggy and things are going to happen and it smells and it's a thing, you know? It's like the person is what it is. And the way that you are love is you be love. And you start to give that to yourself by liberating yourself from this societal construct of what you think you have to look or be like, or how much you have to earn, or all these kind of things that we kind of get in our way of actual liberation, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's a big thing. And so then we have, what is it? Sense of
The
purpose.
next one is sense of purpose. Yep. This
Yeah.
is a fun one. So sense of purpose gives us a clear reason for what we want to do in life. And, you know, it could be a specific goal or just a feeling of motivation for daily life. And most people think sense of purpose needs to be connected to your career or, you know, what you do on a daily life. But sense of purpose could be something at like motherhood, or it could be tending to your garden, you know, just having a reason that makes you happy to do it. It's making you feel like you're part of something larger than yourself, right? It gives us the satisfaction that we're contributing to this larger reason. And, you know, therefore, by contributing to something that might be outside of ourselves, we feel more love for ourselves. And in doing so, you know, we're helping to contribute to something.
So it was actually, I love this because I was reading Jay Shetty's 8 Rules of Love. I believe it's 8.
Mm-hmm.
Don't quote me on that. I think
I
it's
think it
or
is 8. Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. I'm like, I'm not quite sure the number. But his biggest one, he's like, purpose will always come before anything. Like, and oftentimes we think of this where it's like men, it's their sense of purpose, right? We think like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, that's just what they do. But like women, we have that too, right? We need to have a sense of purpose. Otherwise, we're stuck in these cycles of not feeling like a priority in someone else's life because we think our purpose is to people please. We think our purpose is to be of service in someone else's life and all these kind of things. When really outside of that, it's like, what are you doing that's benefiting the greater good? Whether that's philanthropy, whether that's your home life, whether that's, you know, your self-development, because it's domino effect, whether that is being a mother, whether that is your business. Like a lot of us are like, well, I haven't found my purpose yet, so therefore I'm not successful. And it's like, it doesn't have to be what you're working with. I know I felt this. Like I felt this so much when I was building my first company and was just this hungry ghost, like nothing was ever, because I could never make enough money to actually satisfy the ache that was in my soul. Like it just wouldn't happen because it wasn't about my purpose. It was, can I make enough money? Can I get enough abs? Can I get enough men to be in my fucking DMs and taking me on dates to somehow make me feel like I am lovable and worthy and all these kind of things, when none of that will ever fucking do it until you realize what your purpose is, which is whatever that is, right? Like I know mine is love. How can I be the beacon of love? How can I actually step into this and be that and walk into my whole and complete self? And so someone that's on this journey and they're like, man, I can think of an ex in my head where it's like, I don't have my purpose, so therefore I can't show up in this relationship. And it's true, you really can't. You really freaking can't, because you're going to be wandering and you're going to feel lost. And especially if someone has their purpose, you're going to be like, I'm not here. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. So when someone's struggling to find this sense of purpose, because we hear it all the time, where do they begin? Like, what is a way that they can start to dive a little bit deeper into this with a little bit of compassion?
Yeah. So my recommendation for this is you could either journal on this or meditate on this, or just think back to a time when you were a child. And what did you love to do as a child? What are things that you did that just absolutely lit you up? And then, you know, not saying that you have to go and play with Barbies, although, you know, if you want to do that, go right ahead, because that might spark something inside of you. But just go back to being a child of when, you know, everything felt magical and everything felt fun and exciting. And how can you invite more of your child self into your everyday life? And I really think that going back to your child self is like the key or the doorway into finding your sense of purpose. Like you said, your sense of purpose was being a beacon of love. So, you know, as a child, maybe, you know, you wanted to invite more love, you wanted to have more love,
Oh my
so
God, I was
you
such
now
an attention
incorporated
seeker. I
that.
was like jumping on boxes. I'm like, everyone look at me.
Yeah,
I'm cute. Look at all my cute
yeah.
dresses. Look at all my things. I'm like, we're on brand. We are on brand for what I get myself wanted.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I just have a really cute little story about this. So I find that my sense of purpose is giving back to others and helping others, you know, when they're in need. So right outside of my apartment, there was a little family of bird babies, little birds, and they, you know, they could fly a little bit, but they're still nesting underneath a bush. And for the last week, I've just been leaving out little nuts and fruit for them, little seeds, and that has given me so much sense of purpose in this week, just being able to help them and give to them. And it makes me so excited to wake up every morning and they ate all their nuts and I'm like, yay, got to refill their nuts, got to give them something else. So, you know, sense of purpose, it doesn't have to be this grand thing either. It could be something so small that is just lighting you up and making you feel good and helping you contribute to something larger than yourself.
Exactly. Oh my God, I love that.
Mhm.
Except I'm terrified of birds, so that wouldn't be my vibe. But I know it's so true. It doesn't have to be this grandiose thing. It's just like, can I do something kind? You know, there's always that thing that they say of like, if you're feeling grumpy, like go smile at a stranger, give them the gift of your smile. Even
Yeah.
if you don't feel like smiling. It's like, who knows? But it's like, find the little things. It's really not as complicated as we make it. We think like there's this elusive happiness that's going to come just because we find our purpose. So we're at this, again, it's this hungry ghost of trying to find like, what is this purpose? What is my meaning? And it's like, what if your purpose is just to exist? Like to figure out
Yeah.
how present can I be right now
Mhm.
with this conversation, with, I stumbled on that word, conversation, you know, this moment of life with this thing. It's like, how, like, that can literally be it. But we get lost in this. It has to be big. I have to change the world. I have to do this thing. I will not be satisfied. I will not sleep. I will not. And it can be, that's a lot of my audience. That's me. You know, it's like, I've wanted to change the world since I was 4, but it's like, it started with the micro things. And if we get so macro, we're going to be depressed. We're going to feel like we're not there yet. We're going to feel like we're not good enough. We're going to feel like we're always behind. When if you look at, okay, what's my 1%? What's my 1%
Yeah.
getting in this arena? It kind of just loosens the reins on that a little bit. Right.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
love that. Okay. And then we have
Mhm.
self-worth, baby.
Yep, self-worth is a last one. So save the best for last. This is a big, big one. So knowing that as a human being on this earth at this very time, you are worthy just by your existence. Are you able to see yourself as worthy through good times and bad times that you go through? Do you, you know, degrade yourself for saying something bad or acting out in an unusual behavior? Do you separate your actions, your behaviors, and your thoughts from who you truly are? So instead of, you know, if you did something wrong to someone or, you know, you acted out of character, instead of reflecting that back on who you are, it's not that you're a bad person for doing those acts. It's okay, I did something bad, but that's not a part of who I am, and not beating yourself up for it. So self-worth, I'd say it definitely, you know, it takes a while. It does take a while, especially for someone who might have went through their whole life thinking that they're not worthy, either from, you know, outside anything, you know, society or people telling you that or making you feel that you're not worthy. It's hard to build up to, you know, really seeing your worth and knowing that you are a gift and you're here for a reason at this very time.
Oh my God, yeah. And it is like, I can think of my audience where it's just like, and myself, where it's like, if you've been cheated on, if you've been manipulated, if you've been abandoned, if you've
Yeah.
been betrayed, rejected, like you build up these things of, oh, I'm not worthy. Like I'm not worthy because they did this, they did this, they did this. And therefore that means I'm not good. I'm not lovable. I'm not dateable. I'm not, you know, we build up these narratives thinking, well, because, you know, and like, because all this happened, therefore I have too much baggage, or therefore I have all these things, which makes us unlovable. And it's just the narrative you tell yourself. And I love the way that you were talking about it, where it's like you're separating outside forces, the things that have happened to you, the things that have been said to you, the things that you've experienced, the things that you witnessed being experienced. Like, those are all outside of you. None of that is
Yeah.
actually who you are. But that's what trauma is. Trauma is, we store it on, and then we build these protectors and all this kind of stuff. And so it's like, can you really just learn to let that go? Like, let it pass through and really start to, going back to what we were talking about in the beginning, where it's like the person that's in your head and then the person that's outside. It's like being the person that's in your head. I'm sure you're reading your books and you're like, I am the coolest person on the planet. Like, look at all these things that I'm doing. And then all of a sudden you step in or you scroll the freaking internet and you're like, but I'm not doing this and I don't have this. And oh my God, look at their love story and look at her body and look at how much money she's making and look at the launch she just had. And we get lost, and all of a sudden, within a split of a second, we close our heart and we now don't feel worthy. Like, it's so quick. I know I do that. And so those people that are in that, where it's like, okay, great guy, you're cute, you have these businesses, you do this thing, of course you feel freaking worthy. Like, let's talk to the people that are like, easy for you to say. Right? I am currently going through a breakup. He cheated on me. They cheated on me. I'm struggling with my financials, and I have this huge zit on my cheek that won't go away. Like, let's talk to that person that is feeling a little bit rubbish right now and is feeling like it's easy for you to say. What would you say to them?
Yeah. So what I would suggest for you to do is to make a running list, and this could be a continuous running list for the rest of your life, of everything that you value about yourself, everything that you love about yourself. And you could start really surface level by saying, oh, I love my nose, or I love my hair. It could be little things like that. And then the more that you keep on writing about yourself and like, oh yeah, that is pretty cool that I do this, that I do that. I'm great at making friends, or I have an awesome job that I help contribute and do this. Starting and just making a running list of everything that makes you amazing, right? It is your absolute superpower that you are you. No one else is you. No one else has had your experiences. So really tuning into your own awesomeness, how amazing you are, tuning into that. And every time that you feel the outside pressure, or like, oh, I'm not good enough because she has this and I don't have that, go back to your list and just read that list over, read it over, and really let it sink into your heart space and be like, yeah, I am amazing and I'm unique because I have these things.
I love that. And it's so true. When you stop comparing yourself to anyone except your past self, you fucking start running. Like, you're like, wow, if I actually look at who I was 5 years ago and I look at who I am today, dang, like, that's amazing. But we do this thing. There's a really good book called The Gap and the Gain that has changed my entire life. But it really is looking at this concept where it's like, you look at you and that's it, instead of the outside world or this future tripping where you think somehow you're going to be happier there. It's like, if you just look at the person that was behind you yesterday, if you look at the person you were 5 years ago, you're smashing it, darling. Like, you are doing so much better, even in a heartbreak, even in the things that are happening. It's like, that's the part where you're learning the most. Like, you can see that that's the part where you're learning the most. You probably know yourself better than you ever did before, even though you're sitting in the fucking suck right now. And so I love this idea of making a list where it's like, I really love, and I used to do this like mirror work when I was like trying to overcome my eating disorder, where it's like, okay, if I'm staring at myself in the mirror, what is something I like? And I'm always like, my eyes. Like, it's the gateway to the soul. That's it. And that's all I could do. That was it, because everything else I had a complaint about. And I was like, all right, well, we got our eyeballs, so I guess we'll just stare at those for a hot little chicken eye a second. It's like, you got to start somewhere, but like, no one on this planet can do this work for you. Like, absolutely no one. No one's going to come in and swoop you off your feet and all of a sudden then you feel beautiful. No one's going to, like, the trainer is going to come in and give you the 6-pack. That's not going to do it. Like, you have to, no one is going to swoop into this little podcast right now and take you up and pick it. Like, that is a you job. It's radical ownership over the fact that you are where you are is because you are choosing where you want to be. Yes, we have outside sources, but it's your responsibility to get you out of there. And if you, self-worth is that biggest part, right? Like there's two parts of confidence where it's like, I'm confident because I have all these outside things, and it's like conditional on that. Like I have the husband, I have the house, I have the business, I have the things. I'm confident because this. But true confidence is, you're your best ROI. You can show up. You know that even in the depths of the depths, you're going to figure your shit out. So why not start looking at that list and making that list now, building that backlog of all the things you did, so that you can start to build that confidence back up. You're going to have low days. This goes back to what you were talking about earlier, where it's like, it's not positivity, it's liberation. It goes into the space of, you need to liberate yourself. It's not going to be a positive thing. You're going to have hard days. You guys know on this podcast, like I have a depression forward mind. Like it takes daily practice, like to get to these spaces, but it's daily. And then you stop fighting. And then all of a sudden you're in I was telling my best friend this the other day, because I have gremlins. You guys all know this. I said this earlier, like they are in there and I'm like, you sneaky motherfucker. Like I have been you my whole life. And lately this has been the inner work of like facing these gremlins and facing these things where it's like, I'm in the gym the other day and all of a sudden I'm like looking in the mirror and like that little voice in my head is like, damn, I love you. And I was like, who the fuck was that? Like, I was like, that is such a new voice. Whoa, that's cool.
I love that.
This is great, but that's what happens. And like we can talk about this, like for someone that's like, I feel like an imposter, like this doesn't feel real, I feel like this is fake. Like talk to that aspect, because that's so fucking real, where everyone's like, well, that feels fake. Like if I'm telling myself I love myself and that feels fake, let's talk about that.
Well, I think that the imposter syndrome, I think that there is a lot of truth to it, in that if you're not used, we're so conditioned to being in our ways of thinking or our ways of feeling about ourselves, that when we want to switch and go to like, okay, but I want to feel good about myself, I want to feel worthy, switching that, it does feel like an imposter, because you're like, well, who the heck is this? And I think it's very ego based, in that your ego is trying to hold on to that aspect, to be like, whoa, we were safe over here. Why are you changing your mindset? You need to come back over here because we're comfortable over here. So switching your mindset and going more into like, okay, feeling worthy. Yeah, it is going to feel like you're an imposter at first. It is going to feel uncomfortable. But the more that you work with it, the more comfortable you get being in that uncomfortable, the easier it's going to feel.
Exactly. It's one of those things. Of course you're an imposter, you've never done it. It's until you start to practice, your neural networks have been going one way for so long. So when you start to do something else, it's like ambidextrous people. It's like, of course, if you're a righty and then all of a sudden you pick up your left hand, you're going to be like, what is this chicken scratch? I don't know what this is. But if you keep doing it every single day, you become ambidextrous. That's a fun word. I don't know why I chose that one, but you start using your left hand, and it's just repetition, and it's okay. We all feel like imposters. No one on this planet has it figured out. Breathe into that. Like, none of us have a clue.
And if you think back to like, when you were a baby or when you were a child, when you're first starting to walk or you're first starting to like feed yourself, that was uncomfortable. That, I'm sure in your baby mind, you're like, what am I doing? I'm an imposter. I don't know how to walk. I crawl. You still did it. You still got through it. And now, like you had as adults, you could walk just fine. You don't even think about it. So it's really just, getting over that hump in the beginning is the hardest part.
Exactly. It really is. It's so funny. Humans are so funny. Like our brain. So we do. Like, it's just wild. The protectors, all the things we're like, it's this constant thing of like, am I doing this right? Like, am I doing this human existence thing right? Constantly thinking like we're fucking it up. And especially with the social media age and all this kind of stuff, it's this constant thing of like, am I saying the right thing when I text them? Am I wearing the right thing? Am I doing the right thing? Did I launch my business in the right way? It's so much anxious attachment that I just kind of look at it and I'm like, you're fine. Like, you really fucking are. you start looking at just you versus you, not even you versus you alongside you, shoulder to shoulder, like you're rising, you're on this path together, like it's, you can't, like you really cannot fuck this up. And I know I've been swearing a lot on
No,
this episode, but it's like,
no, you're good.
it really is like coming back home to self. And I've loved these 4 pillars, and let's go through them again. So recap what the 4 pillars
Yeah.
are.
So the first one is emotional awareness. Second one, body liberation. Third one, sense of purpose. And the fourth one is self-worth.
I love it. And from what I hear, it's something that you're constantly revisiting. It's not like we got emotional and then we got body and then we got this. It's like they all are constantly playing a little orchestra together.
Yeah. Yeah. They're all interwoven together. I just want to circle back on the self-worth for 1 minute, because you had mentioned, social media, and then, you compare yourself to others online. I always suggest, when you're in that really vulnerable stage of, especially with the self-worth part, unfollow, unfollow the celebrities, or, the influencers that make you feel not worthy. It's more toxic for you to be looking at that every day, and for those same thoughts to keep on coming up. Oh, why can't I have her body? Why can't I have this? Just unfollow. You don't have to follow along with them. And especially when you're at such a vulnerable stage, and you're not feeling worthy yourself, follow people who make you feel more worthy, or who you can relate more to.
And do that in your real life too.
Yeah.
I used to say this when I was like started my first healing journey. It would be like someone saying something, and like all of a sudden I'm just look at them and I'm like, unsubscribe. And they're like,
Yeah.
I'm like, I just unsubscribe to that belief. Like, I get that you're a human in front of me, but like unfollow right now. Like, I'm not available.
Yeah.
And it really is that mental thing. You don't have to be like me and say it out loud, but it's just like in your head being like unsubscribe. Like, that doesn't suit where I'm at. And you do that with your clothes, do that with social media. Like, if it doesn't feel good and it makes you clench, and the difference between clenching in your body and expansion in your body, it's like, if you feel the clench, it's like you have the easiest, it's literally an easy button. We've all seen that commercial.
Yeah.
Unfollow is the easy button.
Yeah.
Like, don't do that. Your social media gets to be your daily expander, your daily vision board. And even if they're a positive thing, I've had so many people on my social media when I was going through like so many phases of life, because that's the journey we're on. It's like, even if they're positive, and I'm like, but now I'm comparing myself to not being there yet. Easy button, unsubscribe. Like, I'm doing good on this planet, and I know you're doing the right thing, and you're trying to promote mental positivity, but right now I don't feel like that, and that makes me feel bad because I'm not there yet. Goodbye.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not gonna force my happiness. I'm not gonna spiritually bypass and do all these things. It's just like, know yourself enough and spend time in those spaces, and if you have to, just put it away. Like, it's,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Downtime from social media is my favorite time.
Oh my God. Once a week. It's like 0. I've been doing this thing actually lately where it's like I keep my phone on airplane mode until noon, except for when I have calls before that, but I'll put it on airplane mode until noon, because I'm like, no one needs me. My team knows, like, you got it all covered. Most of our stuff is automated and systemized anyways. Like, we don't need it. And I'm like, I just want my inner peace. Like, I am at that stage, and then by 9 p.m. I'm like, goodbye, back on airplane mode. So there's this like whole window of opportunity of just like, you cannot enter my fortress of.
Yes. Yeah, I block my social apps. I use like an app. It's called Opal. I think that's how you pronounce it, OPAL. And you could set timers, like block your apps for certain time chunks out of the day, and like which apps you want to block. So I do that every day, and I'm just like, this way I know, from this time to this time, I'm not looking at my socials. There's a time for that, but throughout the day, I'm not gonna go on. And it really does help me from just aimlessly and mindlessly scrolling. Sometimes, you get stuck on TikTok or Instagram, just scrolling. And then I'm like, oh my God, an hour has passed.
Yes.
So that's been really helpful. Yeah.
Even people that work in this space, we get lost in it too.
Yeah.
Like, you ever feel like you're like looking through it and you're like, what am I doing? Like, and then you just put your phone down and you're like, okay, bye. Next task. Like, what am I currently
Yeah.
doing? Oh my God. I have
Yeah.
loved this so freaking much. I know my audience is gonna jam so hard to this. So thank you so much for your time, for your energy,
Yeah.
for the work that you're doing in this world. Is there any last words that you would like to say before we tell people where to find you?
Mm. I don't think so. I feel like I've said a lot, and I loved sharing here on this podcast with you. I love everything that you're doing, Laura. I find your information and your podcast so valuable to me, and I feel like it's very down to earth, and everything that you teach, is a lesson in everything that you say. So really respect you and your work.
Oh my goodness. Thank you, Megan. And honestly, I'm obsessed. Like when this is such a good podcast, so much information that you have, and it's so aligned like with everything that we share on here. And I know my audience is just gonna head over and just like pick your brain and blow you up. So tell our peeps where to come hang out with you.
Yeah, so you can hang out on my Instagram is where I mostly am. It is Meaghan.Moran, and my name is spelt the longest way possible. Thank you, parents. It's Meaghan.
I love
Long
it.
name.
We'll make sure to put it
Yeah.
all in the show notes and all the goodies and stuff. So thank you so freaking much. It has been such a pleasure. Such a freaking pleasure. And I'll be
Thank
sure to
you,
put everything in
Laura.
the show notes. Everyone go take those sexy thumbs of yours and go subscribe, write a review, do all the things, let us know what came up, and then head over and tell Megan how much you love her and all the things. And so thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oopsie, how do I end this?